San Francisco schools lose more than 3,500 students at a cost of $35 million. Even creepy Golden Gate City freaks are waking up to the perfidy of California public schools. I'm Dr. Duke, she's Katie, and this is the Dr. Duke Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show, the only program that keeps you educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world, and one of the few shows that will use the word perfidy. Today's show is sponsored by Mike Lindell and our friends at MyPillow. MyPillow is always offering great deals, and this week they're offering their own iconic pillow, MyPillow, the one that launched the empire for just $30. All you have to do is use the code Dr. Duke, D-R-D-U-K-E. You can visit MyPillow and get 66% off on all other items as well. Again, use the code Dr. Duke, D-R-D-U-K-E. All right, if you're watching us on social media, then hit that share button so we can keep sending you more cool stuff. And let's dive in. Today we start in San Francisco. The San Francisco treat is bad education, where school districts are hemorrhaging tens of millions of dollars after 3,500 students have decided to seek better education, elsewhere.
You know, I'm real sad that it's not actually 3,500. It's 3,499.
Oh,
one.
Who's going to be that one who pushes over the top?
That one student, we just couldn't find that one student. Or actually we did, and that's why they don't get counted because, yeah. Anyway, San Francisco public schools, they're basically having their own kind of crisis because of the pandemic, and it's the fact that we lost all these students, and now, oh my God, $35 million we will lose. What will we do with the loss of that money? It's almost as if we're going to have to, I don't know, buckle down and maybe teach the kids or something because we don't have all this other money to spend on diversity this or diversity that, and, well, we'll see what happens with them. But as the report had indicated about their enrollment declines have been a widespread phenomenon, and demographic trends in San Francisco do not point to a large near-term increase in children. We need to establish program capacities based on current reality by looking holistically. Capacities determine staffing needs and student seats and should reflect our new normal of enrollment levels. So what you're saying is there's a new normal in town, and that's according to in the report that was done by a school superintendent. New normal, everybody. Welcome to San Francisco.
Yep, it's a $116 million budget deficit for next year. That's a lot of scratch. And what are you doing? I mean, this is San Francisco, for God's sake. You've got feces on the sidewalks. You've got people living in homeless bridges. You've got the government doling out free heroin to addicts and providing nurses to look after them. This is a classic example of a big left-wing, for lack of a better word, welfare state city like San Francisco going about its business. Are you surprised? And here's a question for you, Katie Petrick. Given the large population of Asians in San Francisco and the fact that Asians are smarter than most of the average bears out there, what percentage of this 3,500 do you think are Asian moms and dads fed up with a completely politicized, crappy education system who are taking their kids' talents elsewhere?
I'm not quite sure, but as the one and only Nancy Pelosi told me to come on down to Chinatown, maybe I'll go to Chinatown and go door to door and start asking moms and dads. If you don't know what I'm referencing, go look up Nancy Pelosi, come on down to Chinatown. It's safe. It's great. So anyway, back to, because it's about the pandemic. The San Francisco Chronicle specifically said the pandemic-fueled enrollment loss adds to a litany of headaches facing the district, as you indicated, including a massive $116 million budget deficit next year, resulting in state intervention. Good, Gavin Newsom's getting involved. A likely recall election of 3 school board members and the departure of Superintendent Vince Matthews at the end of the school year. Oh no. Whatever shall we do?
And one of those super school board members getting recalled is Allison Collins, the African American, who basically said Asians were selling out and behaving like house blankers, N-I-G, you know what word I'm talking about, because they act white. When Asian moms and dads get their kids to focus on school, we're told, Allison Collins told us, that's because they assimilate. They want to become white supremacists, just like white people. So this is one messed up town. You mentioned the governor of the state, Gavin Newsom, who got his start and cut his teeth in San Francisco.
Ah, yes, he did.
The Weiss Awoni tweet.
And as we know, there's an overall 6.6% decline. But within that, I know you mentioned the Asian students. Well, it's 12% white students and 9% of Filipino students specifically. Interesting. And that's combined loss of more than 1,000 children. And what they're saying is that the district needs to cut the equivalent of at least 10%. Just listen to this. Of its $1 billion
Yikes.
budget. A school district has a $1 billion budget, and that's San Francisco, and it's not even the largest school district in the nation. So, and that is equivalent, they say, of about 1,000 jobs coming down the line here.
And what are they getting for their return? $1 billion gets dumped into the San Francisco education toilet every year, and what do they have to show for it?
Well, they have declines in enrollment, which is a good thing, I guess, but declines in reading scores, math scores, everything. Nothing has been improved in the way of what education is supposed to be. That's where we're at.
Not one little tiny bit.
Now, according to the district spokesperson, Gentle Blythe.
Oh, are you kidding me?
I don't know if
Blythe. What commune did she grow up in? There's a bunch of them in San Francisco.
I didn't look up Gentle Blythe to see who Gentle Blythe is.
Please tell me there's a
Let's
picture
look.
of Gentle Blythe.
Apparently that's a doll.
Internet.
Gentle Blythe. No, Gentle Blythe.
It sounds like a stool softener.
Oh my.
Take a powder.
Gentle Blythe.
Gentle Blythe powder.
Officially, Gentle Blythe is the Deputy Superintendent for Communications and Strategic Partnerships at the San Francisco Unified School District. Oh, where's she? Now, here's my question. We have 1,000 jobs, and we need we need 1/10 of the $1 billion saved. How about we don't have someone with the title of Deputy Superintendent for Communications and Strategic Partnerships? That might save the district some money.
I bet you that's
anyway.
I bet you that's a $250,000 a year job in San Francisco,
Well,
and she probably still can't buy a house on that money.
I'm sure.
With that money, Gentle Blythe.
Gentle Blythe. Well, back to
Easy on your colon.
really easy on the okay. Well, according to Gentle Blythe, again, I won't even read the long title, but Gentle Blythe says enrollment is down across the state and costs are rising. We hope the state will consider what level of school funding is needed to return California public schools to being among the best in the nation.
So you are the dumbest way. You're the city in California who spends its money the dumbest, and you want the rest of California to bail you out. And how long before they're going to call on the nation, we, to bail out the Gentle Blythes of the world?
All right, before we move on, just a little gentle reminder that if you enjoy our content, please consider joining the Patriot Club. Your tax-deductible donation keeps us moving on and keeps my butt in this seat. So simply visit patriotclub.us to get signed up. That's patriotclub.us. And as a special thank you, we will ship you our signature tumbler. That is the naviest of blues with the one, the only, first President of the United States, Mr. George Washington. Now, if we're going to move on away from Gentle Blythe, unless you wanted to say anything more about her.
Stool softener?
Nope.
Add
Okay.
water. Just add water.
Well, I'd like to move on, but I can't because Halloween has to be canceled.
Yeah, this story is annoying. All right, you've got multiple, not just one, you have multiple schools now that are canceling both Halloween and Valentine's Day.
Well,
why are they doing it, Katie?
Here's the deal. They, every single season, have been canceling Halloween. I've been reporting on this for at least 3 years now, and I don't want to make another video about how Halloween must be canceled because the terminology is so bad. It's racist, all of it. Anyways, Halloween is being canceled at the Benjamin Franklin Day Elementary, which I can't believe it's still called Ben Franklin.
How did Ben get
That's a good one. That's a good question. Anyway, Benjamin Franklin Day Elementary in Seattle is canceling Halloween. And, you know, it's race, it's equity, it's all that. And our good friend Jason Rance is reporting on it. He said historically, the school celebrated Halloween with activities such as pumpkin parade, during which students can wear a costume. But as Jason said, the school officials told him that in a newsletter to parents that Halloween is over and done. And quoting from the newsletter, as a school with foundational beliefs around equity for our students and families, we are moving away from our traditional pumpkin parade event and requesting that students do not come to school in costumes. But why can't, why, what?
Evidently, poor people can't afford them.
No, well, we're going to get to it here. Okay. Halloween events create a situation where some students must be excluded for their beliefs, financial status, or life experience.
Who? Wait, hold on. Let's just parse that. What belief would be offended by this? I mean, are you talking about like a highly evangelical Christians? Because it's a dark holiday? I mean, it's just bizarre. This idea here that their beliefs are being harassed, and financial status? Mm-hmm. People are too poor to buy costumes. And then finally, life experience. Explain that one to me. What does life experience have to do with this?
Well, one time I went trick-or-treating all by myself. And no, I don't know what the life experience actually means. Now, costume parties often become an uncomfortable event for many children. And they distract students and staff from learning. You know what? I agree with that. If you have a party, you're not actually learning. You're not doing your science. You're not doing your math. You're not doing social studies.
Doesn't all this sex in the classroom distract kids from learning? Doesn't all the politics and critical race, doesn't that no? Guess not. Okay.
Large events create changes in schedules with loud noise levels and crowds.
Oh, no, not loudness.
Some students experience overstimulation.
More sex ed.
There you go. While others must deal with complex feelings of exclusion. It's uncomfortable and upsetting for kids. Here's what I have to say. As I send my kids to public school, they'll be socialized, and then that's where they get to participate in things such as this. But if they're not allowed to have this because now we're not supposed to socialize them, then what am I sending them to you for? Because they're not getting educated. I wouldn't be sending them for that.
I think the public schools have finally realized that there's a connection between Halloween and Christianity, and they don't like it. I mean, I think they figured out now finally that it's the prelude to All Saints Day, All Souls Day, I should say. It's got that Christian mythology written all over it. And then, of course, there's, let's also talk about political correctness. Kids coming to campus with politically incorrect costumes. Can you imagine somebody showing up in a Joe Biden mask with a Let's Go Brandon t-shirt? I would personally love to see that, but I can't imagine the school would like it.
But we're talking about an elementary school here, and I would hope, we know people wouldn't, but I would hope it would just be a bunch of, puppies and little bumblebees and maybe some Marvel characters or a couple characters from whatever else, cartoon.
Slinky dressed Britney Spears or
not in the elementary school. I'd hope not.
No,
but
I would hope.
We have to take this pumpkin parade away. Apparently, poor pumpkins. But it's okay because the students will still participate in inclusive fall events such as thematic units of study about the fall, or they're going to review autumnal artwork while sharing all the cozy feelings of the season. Their words. Seattle Public Schools spokesperson did say the Benjamin Franklin Day's racial equity team made the call with staff input after 5 years of discussion on this topic. This is what the racial equity team has been doing for 5 years, canceling Halloween because of inclusion.
Well, by that argument, what holiday can you include?
Fall, none of them, right? Fall works.
They all have to go.
Autumnal.
Even paganism now, the solstice and all that business, harvest day, all the harvest moon, all that now is not even accepted. I can't think of a single federal or otherwise holiday that you can include. President's Day, of course, is a celebration of white supremacy. Columbus Day is now being changed to Indigenous Peoples Day, but even Indigenous Peoples Day is problematic, right? Because what can Christmas is gone.
You can't celebrate Labor Day because we know how many people aren't working right now.
Why can't you celebrate the Halloween, the fall holiday, very tied to the harvest, but you can study winter holiday. You can celebrate winter holiday, which used to be Christmas.
I don't know. But what is happening also, it's not just at Benjamin Franklin, it's other Seattle schools where they're canceling Halloween because it's the black male students who are not participating in the holiday. As they say, historically, the pumpkin parade marginalizes students of color who do not celebrate the holiday. Specifically, these students have requested to be isolated on campus while the event took place. In alliance with Seattle Public Schools' unwavering commitment to students of color, specifically Asian American males, the staff is committed to, or African American males, I should say, not Asian. I'm alluding to what I'm about to say. Supplanting the pumpkin parade with more inclusive and educational opportunities during the school day. I wonder why a bunch of any students would be like, wow, I'm just going to isolate over here and not participate in handing out treats.
I do not buy it.
But as one father, David Malkin, who is Asian and has a 7-year-old son enrolled at Benjamin Franklin Day, he said that the cancellation is an exercise in affluent white vanity that is wokeism. Ooh, burn.
Bingo.
I don't see any way in which this actually addresses any inequities to the extent that there are any inequities. This just seems like grandstanding on behalf of the principal and the staff who are predominantly white. I'm sure they don't want to hear from anyone of any race or ethnicity that doesn't really want to go along with them in lockstep. Thank you, Mr. Malkin.
More progressives peeing in the punch bowl, and at least we're getting better at calling them out for what they are. This has nothing to do with the kids. This has nothing to do with the celebration. This has nothing to do with the holiday itself. It's more wasted progressive virtue signal and misplaced vanity. Congratulations. And are we surprised? Are we surprised at all that it's taking place in what city?
Seattle.
No. So we got Seattle and San Francisco. There's a pattern happening here.
And that pattern happening here is cancellation this and cancellation that. And now we have Halloween canceled and humor has been added to the list of canceling, because if you have any misplaced humor, you can naturally be expelled from schools. And this is happening at St. Albans School in the Washington of D.C., which is a famed all-boys educational institution, and whose alumni includes former vice presidents and 2 U.S. senators who are currently serving. Anyway, they drafted a new policy here at the school, and the new policy, it seeks to crack down on what they call this harmful speech and takes the controversial approach of prioritizing the impact of the speech over the actual intent of the speaker. So as such, boys could be expelled, quote, even in the case of a single expression, act, or gesture. And this includes, quote, misplaced humor, which the policy says should be reported immediately to the student's advisor. And of course, this, if you haven't read, again, 1984, George Orwell, Eric Blair, if you will, you need to read it, because this sounds just like what happened with the children who can report and snitch out on their parents. Because if you report infractions, it's the students who have to report, the teachers who have to report, or the parents who have to report. But we also expect that anyone, whether student, faculty, staff, or family member who witnesses or has knowledge of an incident of hate speech will report the incident to the appropriate individual. And of course, no one will be punished for making a good faith report.
Snitches apparently don't get stitches. They get rewarded. Maybe we could reward them with a Halloween party.
Oh, no, that's probably not allowed. Now, we're not sure if this is a draft policy or actually happening already at St. Albans, because the Free Beacon tried to get a response out of them and they would not respond. But an unnamed alumnus was disheartened. St. Albans used to have a simple honor code: don't lie, cheat, or steal. Everything else was adjudicated human to human. Now boys are being policed for humor, and innocuous comments are subject to the highest form of punishment.
Yep. It is time for some real education, and in that week, that is all surrounding Harrison Bergeron, the brilliant short story by Kurt Vonnegut Jr., published in 1961. This is a dystopian short story science. This is a dystopian science fiction short story, and it is really, really good. If you've been looking at the little pieces of it we've given you so far, they tease you. I don't want to give too many quotes away because it's a short story. I want you to go ahead and read it. Again, in case you didn't watch the previous couple of days, this is a story set in 2081. The 211th, 12th, and 13th Amendments of the Constitution have just been passed, and they dictate that all Americans are fully equal and not allowed, therefore, to be smarter or better looking or more physically able than anyone else. The handicapper general's agents come around to enforce these equity laws, forcing citizens to wear handicaps. Handicaps is what the handicap general does. He passes them out. Masks for those who are too beautiful. Loud radios that disrupt thoughts inside the ears of intelligent people. And heavy weights for the strong or the athletic. And here's our quote for today's installment. The ballerinas weren't really very good. No better than anybody else would have been anyway. The ballerinas, because of the artificial handicaps that, and imagine being a ballerina and having these weight casts around you so that you couldn't be very good because you didn't want to cause a trauma to other girls and men who, well, in this case, girls who could not dance very well. Quote, the ballerinas weren't really very good. Well, no better than anybody else would have been anyway, because everybody's equal. And here's the thing. Achievements like ballet are high-level human achievements. To not let ballerinas exceed most of us athletically is to do away with ballet altogether. And this is what the progressives want. A world of mediocrity where everybody can do everything that everybody else does and nobody can't. And that's a world, by the way, that runs completely foul of the so-called commitment the left has to diversity. Diversity, by definition, means you're going to have some people who are much better dancers than others. Diversity means you're going to have people capable of doing all sorts of things that you and I can't do. And so that just tells you one important thing. All this commitment to diversity on the part of the left, it's all just empty virtue signaling, because when push comes to shove, equity is the future, inclusion and equity, and that means actual diversity is going to have to go away. Everyone's going to have to be a boring, buttoned down, inhibited, and ultimately handicapped version of everybody else. That's how it's going to live. Once you plug equity and inclusion in for liberty and opportunity, you have a socialist country, and things are just going to get worse. And Harrison Bergeron predicted this a long time ago.
All right. We want to take a moment now to show some love to our Patriot Club members. And today, we'd like to give a shout out to Derek from Norcross, Georgia, all the way down there in Georgia. Derek, thank you so much for supporting us.
And that wraps it up for this show. For Freedom Project, I'm Dr. Duke. She's Katie. Until next time, stay educated, my friends.